Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Beautifully Aligned podcast. I am so happy that you are here today. I'm realizing that I need to do an intro, like record an intro to succinctly describe what this podcast is all about, because almost every week I say something, pretty similar. If you listen to this podcast, you know what it's about, but I'm going to do that and I will include it in next week's episode so that it is easier for those of you who are new to just quickly know what it's about. So this is the Beautifully Aligned podcast. I'm your host, Lynn Ford, certified life coach. By the way, I don't like that title, but it's a well-known title. To me, I'm just going to get really real here. It sounds cheesy to me. Those who work in like the mental health or coaching space, like I hear a therapist and that doesn't sound cheesy to me, or counselor, that doesn't sound cheesy to me, even coach. But then you say, or you wonder, are you like a football coach? What kind of coach are you? So if you have other ideas, let me know. I've been giving that a lot of thought lately. Like, do I want to say mindset coach? No, that doesn't sound quite right, because I don't only coach women on mindset. That's a part of what I do, but it doesn't encapsulate everything. So hopefully that makes sense. Anyways, I went on that tangent. See, this is why I need to do an intro. So I am a life coach, maybe changing that title soon. And I am a longtime blogger. I started my blog in 2009, a lifestyle blog, and beauty, wellness, mindset. That is all of those things are my jam. And now what I get to do is coach women on those things, and it's fabulous and I love it. I became certified through an ICF, which is the International Coaching Federation, accredited program last year, and I am feeling aligned, which is partly why this podcast is called Beautifully Aligned. And I want you, the listener, to feel beautifully aligned in your life as well. So with that super long intro, today we are talking about identity. So your identity is how you see yourself in the world. It is the actions that you take. It is your personality. It is your beliefs. It is all of these things that are hardwired in you that create your identity. And what's really cool is that you can shift your identity anytime you want to. If you're not loving certain aspects of your life, your behaviors, a personality trait, whatever it is, something in your self-image, you can change that. You can change your mind, soul, body. And I am so passionate about this because I would say over the last several years, I'm just thinking, the last 10 years, I have made some massive shifts, but I kind of master a new identity all the time. And that's not to say everything from A to Z changes for me, but if there are certain things and aspects about myself that I want to change, I change it. So I am a different person than who I was 10 years ago, a massively different person. I'm a different person than I was 18 months ago. And I am so thrilled to talk with you about this today because I have this personal experience, but I also have the education, the training on how to do this. So I would say I'm well equipped to share this information with you, and I'm so excited. So if you are looking to shift your identity in any way, or maybe it's all of the ways, like everything in your life needs to change. Maybe you're looking for a career change or shifts in your business if you're a business owner. If you are looking to change your relationships, your home, your environment, where you live, your body, your appearance, the way you do your makeup, the way you dress, your money, your finances, your spirituality, your mindset, your health and wellness, how you relax, your like love and romantic relationships. There's so many different areas. Maybe all of those areas you are looking to change. Maybe it's one or two of those areas. But I am going to give you in this episode 5 steps in order how to do it. You're going to know. And I've also created a workbook. So there's lots more information. It goes deeper into every step I'm going to cover in this episode. So many, many steps. I think it's about 50 pages long. So it is a robust workbook, and you will know how to change your identity. It has many journal prompts, questions to ask yourself. So it's personalized, but it also gives you the how to basically just create your identity with intention. And this method and the questions and the information that you will see in this workbook is the information and some of the questions that I will ask my clients that I work with one-on-one. And I think I'm going to price it around $20, maybe a little bit less. So it is packed full of such valuable information. You don't want to miss it. So I will link to the workbook in the show notes. It's beautifully designed. You can print it out. You're going to love it. And I'm so proud of it. Okay. So I am going to cover every single step, like I said, in this episode. So if you don't want to do the workbook, that's totally fine. You can still follow along, but I'm giving you everything, like so much more information with each step and then questions, like I said, in the workbook. Alrighty. It's like the episode on steroids in the workbook. Okay. Enough about that. So identity, and I will be sharing some personal stories too, because I think that's helpful. I mentioned in my last week's episode about just sharing a little bit more, being a little bit more conversational so that you can get to know me better. And yeah. So like I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, I have shifted my identity many times, mind, body, and soul. So some of the ways that I have done that in those categories, I have shifted my body, my appearance, my health, really by many ways. So I used to eat pretty unhealthy. I think back to my early college days, and I was nannying at the time, and I was eating goldfish crackers for snacks. I was eating fast food, just not balancing anything. It was not good. I was also not working out consistently. It just wasn't fun for me. It was just such a drag. That's what I was telling myself. It was a belief that I had. It wasn't fun, wasn't working out. And I completely changed that. And I was able to shift that unhealthy lifestyle and therefore my identity around body, around health, around my appearance, around fitness very quickly. I would say within about 6 months, I was able to make a shift that was sustainable and consistent And that was about 17 years ago. And today I'm still on track. I'm always refining, I'm always adding to it or editing it. But that part of my life in being healthy has not changed. And what I mean by it has not changed is that I am consistently exercising. And what I meant by editing or adding or refining is that for example, my exercise doesn't look the same as it did 17 years ago. So 17 years ago, I was big into using the elliptical machine. I was big into spin class. I did body pump. That's how I was introduced to weightlifting. Gosh, was that 17 years ago? Maybe it was like 15 when I started body pump, but I'm switching it up. Over the years, I've done more spin and combined that with weightlifting or added Pilates, yoga. So I'm trying new things, but the action is still there and being consistent, at least like minimum for me personally, is 3 days a week of exercise, ideally at 7, even if that's just a walk outside, a hike, whatever it is to just get moving. So 7 days a week, ideally, I am exercising. Same thing goes for eating. I cleaned up my diet. That's not to say every once in a while I don't have chocolate, cake, whatever, quote unquote, junk food. But I know how to balance. And 95% of the time I'm eating healthy, clean, organic. So that is something I'm really proud of. And that goes into the body bucket. I feel like I am going on and on right now about myself. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to get into the steps because that is why you're here. I may incorporate some other aspects of what I've done just to give context to these steps. Step 1 is to evaluate. That is the first thing that you are going to do. And when you're evaluating, you're going to basically look at where you are now. You're going to look at your past a little bit. This is mostly future focused, but we're evaluating. So what areas are we evaluating here? And at the beginning, I talked about some different areas of your life that you could evaluate to then shift your identity around these areas. So it could be business, it could be family and friends, it could be your spirituality, your mindset, your health and your wellness, your environment. And that is the first step. You're going to ask yourself, how do you feel about this area? Maybe you're frustrated by it. Maybe you feel discouraged. Maybe it's the opposite. Maybe you feel excited. You're like, I'm done living this way and I'm really excited to get moving. You're going to ask yourself what thoughts you have about this area. Some people say, I'm too old. I can't change it now. I'm stuck in my ways. I don't have the time. Time is a huge one. It's too hard, whatever it is. So we're evaluating. And there's some other questions, like I said, in the workbook that will help you evaluate. It's going to really help you start to shed those things that are limiting you from getting started. So we're going to evaluate first. Step 2 is to characterize. What do I mean by that? So after you have evaluated, you're going to characterize what it is that you want in order to recreate your identity and then achieve it. So you're going to think about what is it very specifically that you would love to achieve within a specific time frame. So maybe it's this year, maybe it's within the next 2 months, 3 months, whatever. And you're going to list out some goals. And I have some tips in this workbook to make sure that your goals are aligned with what you're wanting identity-wise. So think about what goals would demand a new version of you. And the purpose of these goals that you're going to then think about are ideally going to change your identity. That's the whole point here. And if fear comes up for you when you think about this goal or goals, you're doing it correctly. So fear is probably going to come up because it's new, it's unheard of for you. You have not tried this before. Maybe you have and it hasn't worked. So then fear is coming up. But just trust the process. I'm giving you some more info inside the workbook to get through that fear when you are characterizing what it is that you want in order to live this extraordinary life, take on this new identity. You can list as many goals as you want within this characterize piece of the process. So maybe you picked 5 different areas in the evaluate section. You're going to create as many goals as you want around each of those areas. And you can brainstorm, think about like what, or if you could wave a magic wand in this area. This is something I love to ask people. If you could wave a magic wand around, say, your health or your fitness, what would that look like for you? It's going to be different for everyone, and write it down. And then from there, I will give you the tips and tools to create the goals around that magic wand brainstorming process. Step 3 is edit. This is both challenging and fun. At least it's fun for me. I love a good challenge. This is where we're going to challenge limiting beliefs. We're going to edit our thoughts out or in. And the core of the editing process, if you think about like walking through a messy room and it's full of clutter. We're clearing out that clutter. We're picking up the pieces. We're throwing things away. We're organizing them. So think about the things we're organizing as the thoughts and the things that are holding you back. So those are limiting beliefs. Those are thoughts you're having, things you're telling yourself like, I don't know how to do this. I'm lazy. I don't have enough money. I'm shy. I have anxiety. I'm just stuck. I don't have enough time. Whatever those limiting beliefs are, we are going to edit them. And we're also going to look, or I encourage you to look at your surroundings, because your surroundings really reflect everything, your identity. So in regards to your environment, you think about a cluttered room mentally. You don't want to have that reflect in your environment. So cleaning up the clutter in your environment, maybe you need to completely shift your environment. I did an episode about changing your environment for alignment, and I encourage you to listen to that episode if this is something that you need to work on. But really editing your environment, editing your physical appearance is going to help you mentally. It's going to help you achieve these goals. So the editing process is not only filtering thoughts and editing thoughts and challenging limiting beliefs, but it's editing your environment. It's editing your style. It is a huge overhaul. And I think this is why it's my favorite part, because it's so much work, but it's where you start to see your new life coming to life, or your new identity rather, coming to life. So it is so exciting. Step 4 is to build. This is where we are building new beliefs, we're building new processes, we're building new thoughts to create our new identity. So it's about really practicing leaving those old things behind and building on new ones. So the building process is really about practicing new thoughts, new behaviors, and leaving old ones behind. And the key here is to not move too fast. You really want to take the time to focus on what you're building on and really write down or think about what's true for you. I like to think about this as climbing a ladder. No matter how many steps there are, some are going to require more time than others. So take your time with this. The building process should just be in flow. It should feel like adding things that are really true for you. And then you're going to slowly kind of expand into the vibration or the energy of a more expansive thought while you take the time to make these tiny little actions and show up for yourself in new ways that are then going to provide evidence to the belief that you're practicing. So this part takes a lot of time. I encourage you to have patience with yourself here and really tap into what feels true for you. Step 5 and the very last step is to refine. So we're going to constantly be improving. And as I mentioned with my fitness journey specifically was that I started doing more cardio at the beginning 17 years ago. And now I do a mix of weightlifting, Pilates, cardio, walking, hiking, all of these things. And that's just me refining my process to take these like tiny daily actions that lead to a compound effect that I'm looking for in being physically healthy, liking my appearance, being happy and content with my appearance, my health, how I feel physically, having the energy that I want. So it's these little things and the things that I'm refining and really the specifics. So you want to think about it kind of as specifics. So what do I need to refine? In my example, it was not doing as much cardio and just adding different elements of exercise in to then meet what it is that I want to meet in regards to my health identity and my fitness identity in how I want to feel. So hopefully that makes sense. So really thinking about this refine process as kind of a daily practice and the how, like what hows, what am I doing, what actions am I taking, and what needs to be slightly edited. So that, my gorgeous friend, is how you can completely overhaul your identity in any way or ways that you desire. This work is so powerful, and I'm so happy to bring this to you, this work to you. It is such important work, identity work, and I hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you did, I would so appreciate it if you could leave me a 5-star rating. It takes like literally 5 seconds, if that, to just tap the 5 stars. So if you could do that for me, I would be so grateful. If you enjoyed this episode today, if you are loving this podcast, I would be so grateful. And with that, I will chat with you next week. Bye.